Let's go to our next workflow, Lectio Divina. Therefore, click on the main menu, Guides, then type in Lectio, L-E-C-T-I-O. Locate Workflows in the menu, and then click on Lectio Divina. Let's type in Ephesians 2, 8 through 10 in the search box. Then from the drop-down menu, choose Ephesians 2, 8 through 10. Let's expand the window, make it a little bit easier to read. Now, there's 5 steps in this process. Now, this particular methodology can lead you a little bit astray because it is a little bit mystical and subjective. If you notice, it's mostly thinking and reflecting rather than actual studying. And therefore, your mind becomes the source of authority rather than the text. So be careful with this methodology. Now, if you do good exegesis and then come back and reflect, then this methodology could be quite helpful. So let's walk through the steps. So first, prepare in quietness. And the idea is simply to quiet your mind, focus on the words of the text, and begin praying. The next step is to read the passage, and that is critical. Now, reading the passage can expand to memorizing as well, and I have found that to be a more helpful way of really reflecting on the text, because as I'm memorizing, I'm being forced to consider each and every word. And that's where the third step comes in, meditating on the passage. This is where it can get out of control if you don't have a disciplined mind. Now, look at these questions. Engage the passage with your imagination. Now, this can be useful, especially if you're looking for application. In other words, how do I apply this text in my practical life? So you can reflect throughout your day, the things you say, the things you do, how you act, and then run that through the filter of the text. But again, you have to know what the text means before you can apply it. But if it's your imagination and you start to think that the text means something other than the author intended to say, now you're running into some problems. Now, the second question, ponder what the passage might invite you to do or how you respond to it. That's very effective. But again, you must understand the text in order to do this step properly. Now, the fourth step, respond in prayer, is really helpful because now what you're doing is you're saying, Lord, now that I understand this passage, I see areas in my life where I could apply it. Asking God to help you apply this passage in your life is key and critical. I do appreciate this second question. You may choose to pray back the words from your passage using first-person pronouns. Now, this is really useful, but remember, some passages are descriptive, which means it's describing something that's not intended to repeat. Other passages are prescriptive, and that would be appropriate to put in the personal pronoun I. So it's really important that you understand the text, whether it really applies to the church age or not, and then you proceed from there. The fifth step is contemplate in God's presence. Now, again, contemplating in God's presence is just a way of kind of bringing it back to prayer and thanking the Lord for helping you understand and apply the text. But be careful that you're not seeking after a feeling or some kind of experience. Your prayer life should be driven by truth and not by feelings. So as long as you use this step wisely and are combining this step with good Bible study and good exegesis, this can be helpful as long as you're careful in the areas I've mentioned earlier.